What if the most valuable item you've touched this year wasn't a stock certificate, a luxury watch, or a piece of real estate? What if it was a nickel, a simple 5-cent coin that most people wouldn't think twice about spending? Every day, millions of Americans carry coins in their pockets, toss them into jars, leave them in cup holders, or drop them into vending machines. To most people, they're just spare change. Law coins were old Jefferson nickel dollar coins 1944, but collectors know a secret. Sometimes, the smallest objects carry the biggest opportunities, and among the countless coins that have circulated through American hands, few inspire as much fascination as the legendary 1944 Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it looks ordinary. A portrait of Thomas Jefferson on one side, Monticello on the other. Nothing unusual, nothing dramatic, nothing that would immediately suggest hidden wealth. Yet certain examples of this wartime nickel have become the subject of intense collector demand, mysterious auction appearances, and stories that sound almost too incredible to believe. The truly astonishing part, some experts estimate that the finest and rarest examples with extraordinary mint errors could command values that reach into life-changing territory. Which raises an important question. How many people have unknowingly spent one? How many have overlooked a treasure disguised as pocket change? And how many are sitting in forgotten collections right now, waiting to be discovered? Before we go any further, think about where your loose coins are. Do you have an old coffee can filled with change? A forgotten collection inherited from a parent or grandparent? A drawer that hasn't been opened in years? You may want to remember that location, because this story has surprised many people before. The year was 1944. The world was at war. America's industrial machine was operating at full speed. Factories were producing equipment around the clock. Resources were carefully managed. Every ounce of strategic metal mattered. That reality directly affected the coins Americans carried every day. The United States Mint faced a challenge. Nickel metal was needed for military purposes. As a result, the composition of the Jefferson nickel changed. During the wartime period, special nickels were struck using an alloy that included silver, manganese, and copper. This historic change created a unique chapter in American numismatic history. These coins became known as war nickels, and unlike most earlier Jefferson nickels, they featured a large mint mark above Monticello on the reverse. For collectors, this immediately makes them stand out. A single glance reveals that they belong to one of the most fascinating periods in American coinage. But history alone doesn't create extraordinary value. What transforms an ordinary wartime nickel into a legendary collectible is rarity. And rarity often begins with mistakes. The first category that commands significant attention involves double die errors. These occur when the die itself receives misaligned impressions during its creation process. The result can be visible doubling in lettering, numbers, or design elements. To casual observers, the effect may appear minor. To experienced collectors, it can be a powerful indicator of rarity. The stronger and more dramatic the doubling, the more desirable the coin often becomes. Then there are repunched mint marks. During the era when mint marks were applied separately to working dies, alignment errors occasionally occurred. This could create overlapping impressions that appear as shadows or secondary mint marks. Collectors spend countless hours examining coins under magnification searching for these fascinating varieties. Each discovery represents a glimpse into the minting process itself. Another highly sought-after category involves off-center strikes. Imagine a coin blank entering the press slightly out of position. The result is a coin whose design appears shifted dramatically to one side. If enough detail remains visible to identify the date and mint mark, collector demand can increase significantly. No two off-center strikes are exactly alike. Every example tells a unique story, and that uniqueness adds to its appeal. Now let's discuss one of the most exciting possibilities: die cracks, die breaks, and retained cards. As minting dies endured tremendous pressure, cracks occasionally developed. These imperfections transferred directly onto the coin surface. Sometimes they appear as delicate raised lines. Other times they create dramatic features that instantly attract attention. Collectors often describe these coins as having character. Each flaw documents a specific moment in the life of the die, a frozen piece of minting history preserved forever. Here's an attention reset. Take a moment and imagine explaining to someone that you're excited about a 5-cent coin. They might laugh, until you tell them what rare examples can potentially sell for. Suddenly, that nickel doesn't seem so ordinary. That's the fascinating thing about numismatics. Value is not determined by size. Value is determined by rarity, demand, condition, and historical significance. The strongest examples combine all four, which brings us to one of the most important factors of all: condition. A rare coin in poor condition can still be desirable, but a rare coin preserved in exceptional condition enters an entirely different category. Professional grading services evaluate every detail: the sharpness of the strike, the preservation of the surfaces, the presence or absence of wear, the quality of the luster. Tiny differences can dramatically impact market value. A single grade point can mean thousands of dollars, sometimes much more. Collectors understand this reality better than anyone. That's why they carefully protect their finest pieces, and that's why certain examples of the 1944 Jefferson nickel have achieved near mythical status. Some collectors refer to them as ghost coins, not because they don't exist, but because almost nobody ever sees them. They appear briefly at major auctions, then disappear into private collections. Years may pass before another example emerges. Rumors circulate, photographs are studied, discussions spread throughout collector communities, yet the coins themselves remain elusive, hidden away, protected, almost legendary. Imagine searching for a coin for 20 years and never finding one. Now imagine discovering that same coin in an inherited collection. That's the kind of story that fuels the hobby. And those stories happen more often than many people realize, because rare coins are frequently overlooked. The average spender sees a nickel, the collector sees details. One person sees 5 cents, the other sees possibility. That difference changes everything. Here's another attention reset. When was the last time you actually looked at the mint mark on a coin? Not glanced at it, actually examined it. Most people never do. And that's exactly why discoveries continue to happen. Hidden treasures survive because people aren't paying attention. Collectors pay attention, and occasionally, that attention is rewarded. The modern coin market has amplified this phenomenon dramatically. Online auctions have connected buyers from across the globe. Collector communities exchange information instantly. Demand for premium examples continues to grow. When a remarkable coin appears, competition can become intense, and intense competition often leads to extraordinary prices. The market rewards scarcity. The market rewards quality. The market rewards historical significance. Exceptional coins possess all three. Every year, fewer pristine examples remain available. Coins become damaged, lost, cleaned improperly, or removed from the collector marketplace entirely. That shrinking supply creates additional pressure on surviving examples, and that pressure influences values. The result is a market that continues attracting attention from collectors, investors, and treasure hunters alike. Some are motivated by history, others by profit, many by both. Because rare coins occupy a fascinating intersection between collecting and wealth preservation. They're tangible, portable, historic, and finite. No mint can create another authentic 1944 war nickel. The surviving population is all that exists, and every year that population becomes slightly smaller. That's why advanced collectors remain vigilant. They're not simply buying coins, they're preserving pieces of American history. Now imagine discovering one of the most desirable examples, a remarkable error, an extraordinary grade, a hidden rarity that somehow escaped notice for decades. The excitement would be difficult to describe. For many collectors, that's the dream, the possibility that keeps them searching through rolls, the possibility that keeps them examining inherited collections, the possibility that transforms ordinary pocket change into a treasure hunt. And perhaps that's why the 1944 Jefferson nickel continues to captivate the imagination. It's more than a coin. It's a reminder that extraordinary opportunities sometimes hide in ordinary places. It's proof that value isn't always obvious, and it's evidence that history still lives in the objects we handle every day. Before you spend another nickel, Take a closer look, examine the date, study the mint mark, pay attention to unusual features, look for doubling, look for striking anomalies, look for details others might miss, because hidden wealth rarely announces itself. It waits quietly for someone observant enough to recognize it. The market remains active, collector interest remains strong, and the search continues every single day. Somewhere, right now, another remarkable coin is waiting to be discovered, perhaps in a coin jar, perhaps in a forgotten drawer, perhaps in a collection that hasn't been opened for decades, or perhaps much closer than anyone realizes. And speaking of extraordinary discoveries, our next story may be even more unbelievable. The coin we'll explore next has been called one of the most elusive treasures in American numismatic history. Its rarity has stunned experts, its auction appearances have generated headlines, and its value potential has left collectors searching through every coin they can find. You won't want to miss that story. Make sure you're subscribed, because the next ultra-rare coin we uncover might already be hiding in your pocket today.